There must be some cosmic energy, Mercury in retrograde type of hoopla right now, because the worst people on YouTube are coming back to quote unquote apologize. Hello everyone and welcome back to The Chanel. Colleen Ballinger just made a reappearance into the mainstream YouTube. And the person who is facilitating this resurgence is none other than former Disney Channel star Raven-Symoné. So, if you don't know who Colleen Ballinger is, where the heck have you been? Just kidding. So, Colleen Ballinger is a YouTuber, probably one of the OG YouTubers, you could say. She's part of the generation with Shane Dawson, Jenna Marbles, that era of YouTubers. And her content revolved around this character that she created named Miranda Sings. Miranda is basically a caricature of the theater kid. She has a lot of confidence in herself, but in actuality is extraordinarily untalented. Miranda is a very naive person, and the largest part of Miranda's comedy is that she unintentionally says inappropriate or offensive things that are very obvious to the audience. With this character, Colleen became an internet sensation. And during this time, YouTube was the wild, completely untamed. There were no rules, and it was basically the purge. Well, the offensive humor was very popular with the YouTube audience, and eventually Colleen's fame reached the mainstream media. And I'm talking, she was on talk shows with Stephen Colbert. She was on Broadway in the musical Waitress. I mean, at her peak, she was huge. Something crucial to note is that Miranda Sings fans were primarily children, like preteens, teens, people who don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex. Naturally, these fans grew up, and in 2023, allegations of Colleen engaging in inappropriate behavior with underage fans started to surface. I can't remember exactly when this happened, but I do know that this is not the first time that there have been allegations against Colleen for inappropriate behavior. Most notably, Irish YouTuber Adam McIntyre, who was heavily involved in the fandom, came forward and, if my memory serves me correctly, was the first person to come forward and allege that Colleen had acted inappropriately towards him when he was a child. Well, in 2023, Colleen's career completely imploded and blew up into smoke. Multiple people came out and with evidence proving that Colleen had actually engaged in inappropriate behavior with minors. And keep in mind that at the time that she was behaving in this way, she was late 20s, early 30s. So she definitely was fully into adulthood at the time. Now, if she were 18, 19, 20-ish, it might have been a little bit more forgivable, especially since those ages are not far from teenagehood. And, 18 and 19 are part of teenagehood anyway. But that's besides the point. What's really important to know is that she was an adult. She was a full-fledged adult at the time she was engaging and communicating with her underage fans. Inherently, interacting with underage people is not a bad thing, but these relationships cross a line when the subject matter becomes more adult-oriented, if you know what I mean. And that's exactly what Colleen was doing. In these group chats, there were so many instances of her asking weird, inappropriate questions, like what her fans' favorite intimate position was. She also trauma dumped a lot about her relationship with her first husband, Josh, and how she was unhappy and all of her complaints about him. And probably one of the most notable moments from this time was during a live stream that Colleen was doing with her best friend, Corey. In this live stream, I believe that they were opening packages that they had, and in one of the packages was lingerie. Well, when this lingerie appeared on camera, it became a hoo-hoo, ha-ha, hee-hee moment. and the chat kept joking around. And one person in particular asked for Colleen to send the lingerie to him. And that person is none other than Adam McIntyre. I really hope I do not have to sit here and explain to you why sending lingerie to an underage child as a 30-plus-year-old adult is wrong. It's weird, it's inappropriate, and as an adult, it's not even something I would consider doing. But against all better judgment, Colleen did end up sending the lingerie to Adam under the pretense that this was a joke in the fandom. As more and more people came forth with allegations against Colleen, the internet quickly started to turn on her. And of course, the internet did what it does best, and they pulled up all of the inappropriate, controversial, and offensive videos that she had created as Miranda, as well as some old videos with her sister where they were acting out some very offensive racial stereotypes. All of this information coming out was clearly not a good look for Colleen, and she effectively was canceled. In response to all of the backlash and allegations that she was facing, Colleen released an apology video that quickly became viral and extremely infamous for its very, very, very strange delivery. Calling it an apology video is also probably not the best categorization for it, because in the video she did not apologize at all. No. In fact, in this video, Colleen Ballinger pulls out her tiny little ukulele, furiously strums those nylon strings, and sings a little song deflecting all of the blame to her audience and the people who are coming out with allegations against her, calling this backlash a toxic gossip train. I'm really trying to understand what went through Colleen's brain as she was making this video, because not only did she record it and upload it, she also had to spend time writing lyrics, coming up with a melody, and then performing it. And I'm not gonna lie, she actually sang it very well, and it was actually a very catchy song. I mean, it went viral and it became an earworm for me. It literally haunted my dreams, you guys. But what possessed her to make this video is just beyond comprehension. After releasing this video, Colleen disappeared from the internet for at least, I believe it was 2 months. And then she started uploading videos again on her vlog channel, acting as if everything was normal. Naturally, she did not get the same views as she did prior to this entire event, but she very much still existed on the internet. But one of the biggest criticisms that everyone has for Colleen is that she actually never even apologized to the people that she made to feel uncomfortable. First off, the ukulele video was just a bunch of excuses for her inappropriate behavior with minors, and then she returned to the internet like nothing happened, without even acknowledging that ukulele video, nor coming out with a statement or an apology to her audience or to her victims. Colleen has reemerged into mainstream YouTube again just recently because Raven Simone and her wife Miranda released a podcast episode where they were interviewing Colleen. And in my opinion, this whole conversation is too little too late. During the podcast, Colleen does appear to take accountability for her inappropriate behaviors. She also explains that some of those behaviors were part of the culture of the internet at the time, which I don't know if I completely agree with that. I remember watching YouTube in the late 2000s and early 2010s and being disgusted, appalled, and greatly offended by content from creators like Shane Dawson, Jenna Marbles, and others alike. Without revealing my age, just know that I was a child at the time, and I'm talking preteen aged. And so the fact that as a child I had enough discretion to know what was right and what was wrong says a lot about how inappropriate these behaviors from these YouTubers were. And don't get me wrong, I am not knocking people who were fans of these creators at the time, especially as most of us were kids, and we did not have that ability to fully critically think and make complete informed judgments. However, Adults on YouTube at the time should have been able to make these judgments. And perhaps there's a piece that I'm missing. Perhaps mainstream culture was like this, where offensive humor was completely appropriate. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. So back to the podcast. This is the first time I am seeing any content from Raven's podcast, but wow, this podcast episode left a very poor impression on me. One of the stupidest things, and believe me, there are a lot of stupid things that are said in this podcast, but one of the stupidest things that is said in this podcast is at the beginning. And let me preface this by saying that Raven's wife's name is Miranda. Well, Miranda starts off this podcast by saying, let's address the elephant in the room. You can see in the video of this podcast that Colleen looks visibly uncomfortable. She's like preparing herself and probably a little bit shocked that Miranda seems to be coming in guns a-blazing within 30 seconds of the podcast starting. But no, the big fat elephant in the room that Miranda is referring to is why Colleen chose the name Miranda for her YouTube character. I wish I was kidding, but nope, that is exactly what happens. What's funny is that after watching this podcast, I actually disliked Miranda and Raven more than Colleen, and that's definitely saying something. Because throughout the podcast, Raven's questions and the way that she responds to Colleen is very much like she's trying to come up with excuses for Colleen's behavior. She really just tries to downplay all of the weird behaviors that Colleen exhibited with minors. At one point in the podcast, Colleen talks about immediately regretting posting the ukulele video. If that's the case, why was that YouTube video not deleted immediately? And why is it still up on your channel to this day? And also, if she regrets this video and if she really does feel like she made a mistake, why doesn't she just apologize to the people that she hurt? On one hand, I can kind of understand maybe why she hasn't addressed it directly, because I think addressing it directly might incriminate herself because she would be admitting that she is guilty. And to be honest, I don't think that that would be in the best interest of her career long term. Do I think it's right? Absolutely not, because she did do those things. She did have inappropriate conversations with underage individuals as a 30-something-year-old woman, and mind you, at this time, she already had a kid. It's really hard for me to comprehend that as a mom, she was talking to minors about weird sexual things, sending intimate adult content pictures of Trisha Paytas to minors, and conversing with these minors as if they are her friends. Colleen also addresses a controversy surrounding one of her live shows where she brought an underage fan onto the stage to do a silly satirical version of the yoga challenge, and she has the girl lay down with her legs up, and in the character of Miranda, Colleen grabs the girl's legs and spreads them apart, and a loud fart sound effect plays. Colleen explains that this joke was just supposed to be about the fart. She didn't even think about how weird it would be to spread apart an underage person's legs. I'm not buying it, diva. I don't know about all of that. As an adult myself, first of all, I cannot imagine touching a child in that way, and I definitely would never in a million years spread apart their legs. Because obviously my brain would immediately go to, oh, this is an inappropriate thing to do with a child. So the fact that she is excusing this and pretending that this was all just an innocent joke, I'm not buying it. I also think she contradicts herself in this podcast because later in the podcast she says the point of Miranda is that she does a lot of things that the audience knows is inappropriate, and the joke is that it's an innuendo, but Miranda as the character is completely innocent and does not understand this or see anything bad about her actions. So here she is literally saying that that is the point of Miranda's character, but now she's also trying to claim that she never thought about how spreading a minor's legs on stage was inappropriate, and that it was just an innocent fart joke. Things are not adding up, honey. Raven also does a lot to piss me off in this podcast, and particularly there's a point in the podcast where she asks Colleen how it felt for her audience, who were laughing with her at the time, to now come back years later and call her out. Miss Madame, what sort of are you talking about? We just established that Colleen's primary fan base consists of children. So of course, these children are going to grow up. They are going to be fully developed, functioning adults in society. And in retrospect, when they look back on how an adult was behaving towards them when they were a child, of course they're going to come back and say, wow, that was a really weird thing for an adult to do to me when I was a child. So describing the audience as two-faced is actually the dumbest thing I've heard this week. And yes, I said this week because we are living in the worst timeline. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. Colleen does acknowledge that at the time she should have been listening to what people were calling her out for and addressed it right then and there, instead of acting defensive and releasing that cursed ukulele video. But instead, she chose to wait 2 years to address it again, and in my opinion, it's too little too late. I don't care what she has to say anymore. I really don't think that she could say anything that would salvage her image, and so maybe she should find something else to do. Maybe YouTube has run its course for her. Anyway, this podcast was just a cluster of dumb after dumb. Some people say that podcast equipment should be too expensive for some people. I disagree. I think that there should be a board for podcasts, and you have to get a license before you broadcast your dumb opinions to the world. The world has enough dumb opinions already. Well, that's all that I have to say. I'm sure that there is more stuff that I could say that will probably come to me later. And maybe we'll revisit the Colleen Ballinger cancellation saga in another video, but it's getting late and my voice is starting to become hoarse and crack, so we'll save that for another video. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for commenting, liking, and subscribing. I am so immensely grateful for all of you who have been watching my videos and continue to support me. I really love the discourse and the discussions that you all are bringing, and I can't wait to have more of these discussions in the future. Alrighty, thank you again for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
Sounds like a lot.
Y'all thought you were done with me, huh? As I was editing, I noticed that Adam had posted a new video. And after watching that video, I have quite a few thoughts to say. So in this video, Adam is going over the live stream with the lingerie incident. And if you remember in the podcast, Colleen had said that Adam was the one who had asked for the lingerie. Well, Adam came with the receipts and he pulled up that live stream that Colleen had posted and is actually still on her channel. And I cannot believe that I did not notice that there were so many discrepancies in her story. In this live stream, you can literally see video proof where Colleen acknowledges how weird it would be to send a 13-year-old lingerie. She says, oh my god, could you imagine what his parents would say once this package arrives at his door? They would tell him, you're not watching that lady anymore. So this just proves that Colleen at the time, she was 29 in this live stream, that's what Adam said, and Colleen knew that this would be a completely inappropriate thing to do. There's also proof that Adam didn't even bring up the idea of lingerie being sent to his house first. In the podcast with Raven, Colleen claims that Adam was the one who was begging for Colleen to send this lingerie over, which also makes him sound really creepy, and that is actually not at all what had happened. What had actually happened was that Corey or Colleen, I can't remember which one, had joked around about sending this lingerie to someone, and Corey suggested that they send this to Adam. And they knew that Adam was 13 at the time. And the other thing is, it actually takes a lot of effort to ship internationally, and it costs a lot of money too. To send a package to Adam, who lives in Northern Ireland, would take a lot of effort on Colleen and Corey's part. So there were plenty of chances for both of them to step back and actually think about what the heck they were doing, even though they did acknowledge it in the live stream that this was a weird thing to do. They still had plenty of time to stop and consider how stupid of an idea this was. You would think a 29-year-old would have enough discretion and common sense to not send lingerie to a 13-year-old internationally. Like, that's just the stupidest thing ever. And in the podcast with Raven and Miranda, Colleen makes it sound like it wasn't her fault. It was her fans who pressured her to send this. Hello, dumb. Your fans were children. Of course, children are going to be stupid on the internet. It's an adult's responsibility to protect children on the internet, and Colleen, who had a huge fan base filled with children, should have been responsible enough to make sure that she was protecting her fans. And in the podcast with Raven, Colleen claims that she was visibly hesitant to send this package. Well, video evidence says otherwise. The way she is giggling, laughing about it with Corey, it's very, very clear to me that that was not the case. She then also says that it feels like part of her brain was missing in this moment, which, much like Ned Fulmer, completely externalizes the responsibility. I hate to break it to you, Colleen, but your brain is in your head, whether you like it or not. It is part of your body. It is part of who you are. You made the intentional choice, had the opportunity to reflect, multiple opportunities to reflect, might I add, even acknowledged verbally that his parents would be horrified when he opened that package, but you did it anyway. Oof. After watching Adam's video, I got all riled up again, and I'm so glad I watched that before I posted this video because Colleen is definitely on some bull. Okay, no more fake outs. This is really the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.